I'm going to talk about jumping up. This is one of the most common problems, and people obviously don't mind it so much in a tiny puppy. They don't mind at all, but they do start objecting when he gets a little bit bigger. And right from the get-go is the time to start with this. First of all, we need to decide what you want and what you don't want, and it'll probably depend a bit on what size your dog grows up to be. So if it's a Shih Tzu, or a Chihuahua, does it matter? Unless he's got 30 feet maybe. But if you're going to have a Great Dane or a Labrador, then that's a very different matter. So first we need to look at what it is you actually want. Is it that you just don't want jumping up when you're standing up, when you just come in? Do you not want feet on you when you're sitting down? Is it that you want feet on the floor all the time? You need to decide what it is. I will look at jumping up when you're standing, because a lot of people, or most people I think now, quite like their dog to jump up next to them and be beside them. And I think perhaps if Doug puts his feet on your knees, maybe you don't mind. You're just going to have to decide about that. Okay, so the next thing is to look at why he's jumping up. Mostly it's going to be in greeting, mostly because he's friendly. Sometimes if it's somebody he doesn't know very well, it might, although he's jumping up looking very friendly, that actually might have a degree of anxiety in it as well. I mean, if you go to somebody's house and you haven't met the person before and they're all over you, hugging you, telling you how lovely it was to meet them and the rest of it, you would realise that actually this is overdone and they're anxious. Okay, so there's always that possibility. Another is as the puppy's got older, it's become a habit, because that's what puppy does. It is obviously driven mostly by excitement, and so that'll be, if it's when somebody comes in the door or the room, that'll be up to you really. If you're excited, puppy will be excited. And also I go to so many people who they don't want their puppy to jump up, they're telling it to get down all the time, and yet when the dog's feet are off the floor, they're fussing the dog. So that sort of isn't fair. So consistency is very important. Okay, so what most people are doing is telling the dog to get down and pushing it. And obviously if that worked, it wouldn't be doing it anymore. It's like all these things. So I would say there's two things. You avoid anything which is at all to do with punishment or correction, and you just make sure you give no reinforcement at all, whether it's negative for the behaviour you don't want. You can make it quite clear using the same body language as a dog would use that is not the behaviour you want. But when the dog is doing what you do want, that is when he must get the reward he's looking for. So, for instance, if I go to somebody's house and I come in and probably is a little bit anxious if he's jumping all over me, maybe just friendly, might be quite a big dog, I will just stand still. I'm not going to turn my back, because very likely that'll excite him to jump up at the back, and he doesn't know what that means anyway. If I was another dog and it was unwelcome, I'd look away. So that's what I'd do. I'd look away and I'd wait. You can't do it forever. As soon as his feet are on the floor, then I don't want to stir him up too much and make him jump again. I will very quietly say good, and I'll slowly go to touch him. Now I'll be ready. He jumps up again to do the same thing again. As he wants to greet me, I'll probably get as low as I can, because dogs do like to greet face to face. So if I'm down low anyway, he doesn't have to jump up on me. So all the time I would be giving him what he wants when his feet are on the floor. Okay, now consistency is absolutely key. It's no good people in the house, even the children, fussing the dog when his feet are off the floor, playing games with him when his feet are on them, and then expecting him not to jump up at guests. It just wouldn't work. Okay, you could actually probably teach him to jump up when told, but that has got to be from a basis of no jumping up at all, and then jumping up could be just yet another training trick, which he only does when asked. So the best thing is now to start teaching the puppy or dog what it is you do want. You can do it do more than just be nice to puppy when the feet are on the floor. Using something like a word like good or a clicker you can then start letting the puppy know that on the floor is rewarding. So for instance, if puppy jumps up, you wait for the very minute his feet are on the floor and you click, and then you give him a reward. You do that every time for a while. You can use the word good, doesn't matter which you use. The other thing is to teach puppy a behaviour that he can't do at the same time as jumping up. For instance, you can quietly ask him to sit. Again, you can use a clicker to reinforce the sit. Okay? My own preference is for the puppy or dog to work out for themselves what is wanted. Now, if you've taught them to sit, then just stop telling them anything at all and just wait. The puppy will soon realise that sitting is what you want, and he cannot sit at the same time as jumping up. So there's some obvious things here. One is tone down greetings. If you're greeting all excited, puppy will jump up, and so will your big adult Great Dane. If people come to the house, you must ask them to do the same thing. It may be best if you introduce the dog to them when they're already sitting down. You may need a lead on the dog, so there must be no more rehearsal of jumping up and no more scolding. Everything rewarding happens with the feet on the floor. Another thing which is quite a useful trick is if you're going to come in, puppy has a history of jumping up, is to make sure you bring with you one of his toys that you can just put in his mouth, because having something in his mouth helps to calm him, and that just might help him. Yes. The other thing is if you have visitors to the house, or say my family member has just come home and is always really, really excitable at that time, is to have a Kong ready. Stuff it with some of his favourite food, maybe even freeze it, and it'll give him something to work on and calm down with, because mostly jumping up is going to be about excitement. So he needs to learn manners. It's up to you to teach him manners. You need to be consistent. You need to cut out all scolding, pushing, anything like that, and really concentrate on reinforcing the behaviour you do want. And give it a bit of time. Make sure you've got nobody in your family undermining you, and he will become a dog, or she will become a dog that doesn't jump up.